What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty, and it's time to preview round 17, I think we're up to now. Big game last night, Hawthorn and the Swans. I picked the Hawks to get over the line. They did by 5 points. Cyril kicking the match-winning goal with just under a couple of minutes to go. So that's now the third time Sydney have lost with, not much left and having a lead. So I'll talk more about that in the wrap-up, but let's get stuck into the preview. Tonight, we've got Fremantle and Geelong for the Dockers. Mzungu and Barlow come in. Langdon and Tucker go out of that team. And for the Cats, Kirsten, Stanley, and Cowan come in. Bartel's been managed. Mitch Clark's been dropped straight away, and Darcy Lang has also been dropped. So they've pretty much gone back to the team that they were a couple of weeks ago, Geelong. Bringing back Kirsten for Clark. And I think it's an interesting one. Why wouldn't you give him more than 1 week to sort of just get his rhythm back? But I think they would really want to, get over the line here because they dropped last week from second to like 6th or 7th. So that one game can be huge and influential come the end of the year. Hawthorn look like they're going to finish top of the table now with that win last night. So very much, you wouldn't want to lose this game. It's over in the West. You're going to want to travel well, and I think the Cats will win. I think they'll win probably by 5 or 6 goals against a Fremantle side that have been improved, but they haven't been dramatically fantastic. So we'll wait and see how they go, but I think the Cats will get home tonight. But let's look at tomorrow. I'll be here at the MCG. Not over there at the MCG, wherever. Greg comes in for Conker for Richmond, and they take on Essendon, who bring back Zaharakis from suspension, and Leuenberger comes back into that side. Michael, I thought, was pretty good last week, so I was surprised he got dropped in it, and Cooney has been rested for the Bombers. Again, Richmond, much improved last week. There's only the one change, which is good to see, keeping a lot of the young kids in the side, so I would expect maybe like McIntosh to come back before the end of the year, hopefully. Corey Ellis would get a run. Ben Lennon might get a run if he returns well from injury. So there's still a number of kids Richmond can play before the end of the year, but I think they're pretty settled with the guys who they're looking to move forward with. Castagna, Short, Menadue, who else was there? Markov was very, very good on debut last week. And Conker really needs to show more as a first round pick. Otherwise, they bring in someone like a Sean Grigg, more experience, can probably help those younger kids grow a little bit further and quicker through that side. So Richmond will win this game, I'm hoping anyway. But Essendon have been pretty good the last couple of weeks. So it would not surprise me if they sort of take it up to Richmond and make it a very close game, because they were very good last week against the Saints, weren't they, Essendon? And it wouldn't surprise me if they have good intent, Essendon. Despite being pretty much a wasted year, it hasn't really been a waste because you've seen the emergence of such players such as like Tip and Woody. Matty D's play pretty good. So, number of other players for the Bombers, they're coming out and sort of haven't wasted this year. They've taken their opportunities to, bleed some young talent, and I think they'll be better for that in the long run next year. Now, let's move on to North Melbourne taking on Port Adelaide. This is a very important game for that makeup of the final 8. Should North Melbourne drop this game, it opens the door for a Collingwood or a Port Adelaide, or even not really a Port Adelaide. I think their draw's too tough. Maybe like a St Kilda. I don't really know. I don't think there's many other teams that could possibly jump in. Maybe a Melbourne by some odd chance. But Dalsano, Waite, and Wells come in for North. So good to have Waite, Wells back. Dalsano is also another good in. And Dumont goes out. He's been dropped. Wood has been out with the knee, and Farron Ray with the hamstring injury. So a couple of very important ins there for North Melbourne. Jared Waite's probably the biggest one of those 3 ins. He's a very important player in that forward line, and he's critical to them scoring a number of goals. And creating forward half pressure. If he takes a number 1 forward, it relieves Brown, it relieves Petrie. So, very, very good to see him back for North Melbourne. They should get the job done at home against this Port Adelaide side, who bring back Gray, Stewart, and Archie for O'Shea. Ebert out with the bruised lung, and Cracker out with family reasons. So, it will be interesting to see how Port go on the road, whether or not Hartlett does anything, considering they got fined, Port Adelaide, for not following proper concussion protocols last week with Hamish Hartlett. Shouldn't have played out the game, ended up playing out the game with a concussion. So, interesting to see how Port go. If they can win this game, it opens the door for other sides to make that top 8, but we do think it's set. and I think North Melbourne will win. They'll get over the line, and they will secure their spot in 8th position, or in that top 8 as the 8th team to be playing in the final series. Now, next game, Twilight, up in Carrara Stadium, so in Cairns. You've got Boyd and Dunkley coming in for the Dogs, in for Webb and Libba out with the lung injury last week after copping a big knee in a marking collision. And for the Suns, they've got Lonergan, Hallahan and Grant coming in, but 3 huge outs. Ablett with the shoulder, Prestia with the knee, and Riscatelli with the knee. Probably 3 of their best players, or their 3 best players, in my opinion, go out of that team with, Ablett, Prestia and Riscatelli. If the Gold Coast win this game, it will be a miracle. I don't think it will happen. I think the Dogs will get over the line. Tom Boyd could have a big day out in the for the Dogs. But I think it's going to be interesting as well to see how well the Suns' attacking forward line go. If they can get inside their forward 50, I reckon this could be Lynch's day out to, get him right up in that Coleman medal race. I mean, I know they're not playing for that, but Tom Lynch is a very, very good forward, and unless the Dogs can 2 to 3v1 him the entire day, I think he might have a good showing up there in Cairns. So will be interesting to see how that one goes, but I think the Dogs will get over the line. The worst thing that could happen is if they lose that game. So, third sellout game to Carrara, you wouldn't want to lose it. I think they've won both of them so far, so they would want to get over the line in this one. Next game, we've got Adelaide and Collingwood, again, another critical one going into the finals. If Adelaide were to win the game, puts them right up in top 2 contention. Top 4 is almost a certainty if they win this game. And for Collingwood on the other side of things, they win this game, North Melbourne might drop a game. They're almost back in the hunt for the top 8. But it's going to be very, very difficult to see that happen. Late change for Adelaide, or, a change before the game anyway. Seedsman for Laird, don't know the injury, just said something that he's sustained at training today, or something like that. So Seedsman comes back in for the Crows. And for the Pies, Greenwood in for Fasolo, who's out with a shoulder injury. Interesting to see they didn't bring back Mason Cox after sort of resting him last week. Not sure if he's done for the season now, or if they're really just trying to focus in on what they can do going forward, Collingwood. So very interesting to see how this one goes. I think the Crows at home are a very good side or very difficult side to beat. They've won 7 or 8 in a row now. So they are the form side of the competition. They could make top 2 with the win here, and then a win for the rest of the year. So it could be, this moment could project them right up into premiership credentials. Because if they get a home final, I would say good luck to any side beating them up there. It's going to be very hard for a team to beat them up there. They win that first final. They're in the prelim final, home prelim final. Then you've got a real good shot at making it to that grand final, and anything can happen from there. So I know I'm looking too far ahead because the season can change like that with 1 win, 1 loss. It's just crazy to think. But Adelaide, I'm thinking we'll get over the line in that one. On to Sunday's games. We've got Jacks, Graham, Buckley, Curnow, Wiley, Tutt and Jones in for the Blues. So that's 7 possible ins to that squad. And Everett, Thomas go out, as well as Walker with the knee and Casbolt with the suspension for the tummy tap punch. Why? You don't need to punch people, guys. It's just going to cost you a week now. The MRP has done that. And for the Eagles, Redden, McKenzie and Nelson come into their squad of 25. But this is going to be another one because West Coast, they're playing in the MCG. They're not a huge MCG team. And Carlton would fancy their chances here. They've had a real, good start at the start of the year. Those 4 outs, though, for Carlton, they're pretty big outs. Like Andreas Everett, Dale Thomas has been playing good, Andrew Walker really good, and Casbolt also. So there's 2 critical members of that forward line, and that's why I think you'll see Jones come in and sort of play that role. So very, very interesting, again, to see how Carlton can play. I'm hoping Carlton will get over the line. I've actually picked them to win this week against the Eagles. I don't know why. I think it'll be interesting. I don't know. West Coast probably should win the game, but Carlton, this is one of the upsets that they could potentially cause. Dennis Armfield last week, though, how good was he? 3 goals outside 50 in the opening quarter. Ended up with 4 for the game. I know they lost, but just created a spark for them when they really needed it. So you never know what can happen here. I'm thinking Carlton will beat the West Coast, and that will pretty much end West Coast's chances of winning the flag, because then they have to play at the MCG, and if they can't beat a team like Carlton at the MCG, how are they going to beat anyone at the MCG? So I don't know. It's going to be tough. Next game, we got Billings, Templeton, Shenton, and Sinclair in for St Kilda, who are playing the Demons this week. Savage, the only one out with a concussion, so a couple of changes could be made there. And for Melbourne, they've got no changes. There's 3 ins to their squad. Brayshaw, Bug, and Wagner come into their squad of 25. This game's at Etihad Stadium, and St Kilda actually knocked them off last time they played earlier on in the year. I think Hogan kicked 7, though, for Melbourne. So again, it's going to be, can St Kilda stop Hogan? Which is something they didn't manage to do the first time around, but they still managed to win the game. So I think St Kilda, they can win this game here. They're much quicker, or they're not a much quicker side than Melbourne, because Melbourne are pretty quick as well. But St Kilda, just the way they move the ball and their pressure, especially at Etihad Stadium, they're a very dangerous side to come up against. And I think that they could definitely get a win here and have their best season under Alan Richardson if they do get another win for the season. So I think the Saints, we're going to win against the Demons this time around. I think they're going to win again. And it will be a pretty good game to watch. I think it's going to be very exciting on Sunday afternoon. Now, the final game is Brisbane taking on the Greater Western Sydney Giants. Cutler, Keys, Walker, Dawson come into the Lions squad. Merritt, the only one that goes out with some illness. And for the Giants, Marchbank, Lloyd, Reed, and Himmelberg come into that squad for Reece Palmer, who has been dropped from the side. So even though it's up at the Gabba, I think the Giants will want to bounce back after last week's performance against the Pies, having a 4-goal lead at quarter time and then allowing 11 goals in that second quarter, just not on. So they'd want to bounce back from probably their worst game for the season and try and once again push them back up into that top 4 contention, because it's so tight that you can't afford to drop games like this. And I think the Giants will understand that now, and they won't want to drop this one. So they'll get over the line. They'll win this one. Yeah, very interesting games coming up this week to see who can, withstand that pressure. And over the next sort of 6-7 weeks, you've got to see how well all of those top 8 sides can withstand the pressure of, if you lose, you drop dramatically. So you don't want to lose if you're a top 8 team. It's going to be very interesting come end of the year, who makes it where, and where they end up being positioned. So very interesting. I've picked Carlton as my really big outsider this week, so hopefully they'll get over the line for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Leave a big thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.